Mr. Speaker, thank you. Chairman Derrickson, thank you. Thank you to my joint sponsor, Ron Hood, my LA Victoria, for your never-ceasing support and work. Thanks to the many attorneys, doctors, expert professionals, and Ohioans who gave and give tirelessly to the success of this bill. It is by the hands of many and the grace of God that I can stand before you today advocating for a life-saving measure designed by the man who founded the National Right to Life, and present in honor of his life the John Wilkie Fetal Heartbeat Protection Act. Mr. Speaker, you have heard from me on the importance of this matter on many occasions. What I haven't shared to date is that my heartbeat was lost 4 times during my delivery. The doctor was nowhere to be found, and I was on my way. The medical staff in the room was inexperienced and lacked the scope of practice to deliver me. She urged my mother to wait, but she knew my heartbeat was fleeting between a steady pulse and a flat line. My mother knew I had a better chance at life if she delivered me, and she did. Maternal instinct outweighed the instruction that was offered. I was born with the umbilical cord restricting my breathing. I was thankful to God that my mother maintained my beating heart. She fought for me when the world said to wait. I'm ready to pay it forward. My beating heart was once in question. Little did I know, I've been fighting for life since before I was born. I know some of you are surprised that I would share something so personal, but the truth be told, we are deliberating the question of life, and there is no debate that is more intimate than one hinged on the validity of our own humanity. In the United States, there are over 3,000 abortions occurring per day. If any other cause of death had numbers this sobering, the legislature would halt all other activity to focus on the epidemic at hand. We know that the majority of these abortions are occurring when the unborn person has a beating heart. This is an issue that is robust with passion. We have the ability to save many lives. This chamber has the power to change the course of American history by casting our votes to protect the beating hearts of the unborn. We often question our ability to make a difference. It was only within weeks of my very first day as a state legislator that I was asked to cast votes on some of the most controversial issues faced in many decades. As I was wading through my own desire to play it safe or do the work that God had sent me to do, my father left a torn sheet of yellow legal paper on the dash of my car that read, "Cautious, careful people always casting about to preserve their reputation and social standing can never effect a reform. Susan B. Anthony." Forever scored into my memory will be the words of a woman who was a leading advocate for a woman's right to vote. It is a key responsibility of the state to care for its most vulnerable populations. We know that we need to take care of those who might need a hand up until they can stand on their own. I can't think of a population of Ohioans who are more underserved than those waiting to experience their God-given life. This may be the most important and fundamental role of government, to defend the least of thee from injustices. If you disagree with this role of government, I would ask you very directly if you believe we should go back a few decades or so and reverse decisions that were made that expanded protection to the unborn during the partial birth abortion ban, a practice that is now unthinkable by the American people. We are now considering legislation to protect the unborn at the point at which they might experience pain. I support this effort wholeheartedly, Mr. Speaker. The question remains, what if we are wrong? If we believe this child may or may not feel pain, how could we ever err on the side that they may not feel pain previous to such defined point? I will tell you what we know for certain, that an unborn child has a beating heart. Should we allow that heart to be stopped? This legislation would honor life, the first detectable heartbeat, by providing appropriate protection of the law to that unborn and unique individual. The bill also requires the creation of a joint legislative committee to promote adoption and ensures the appropriate inspection of abortion facilities. The struggle to protect the unborn is a continuation of a long historic march. Even in historically free democratic societies, certain people were not fully recognized as persons. Many of us recognize Cleomenes' bust that is here today, a historic figure in this chamber, as the founder of democracy in ancient Greece. In ancient Greece, the birthplace of democracy, only certain citizens had rights. When King John signed the Magna Carta in 1245, giving rights to some people, only the privileged received them. Many others weren't recognized as people. When the United States Constitution was signed, African Americans were not recognized as people. Women and American Indians were not given the right to vote until the 20th century, even in this great country. The great civil rights movement of the 20th century culminated in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, an act that was led by William McCullough, a former Speaker of this House, whose bust stands outside this chamber, was really just a continuation of this long struggle to recognize the full rights of personhood for all. Now we stand here today in this House with the opportunity to be the next bearers of this torch that so many have carried, so many have fought for, and so many have died for. The question today is not merely will this bill pass? The question will be, which side were you on when the history was written? I urge my fellow members to join me in passage of this bill.